Hi, I'm Sarah Foster from Foster's Market in Durham and Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And we're here today at my home in Durham making roasted butternut squash, sausage, and wild mushroom stuffing. And I love this stuffing because the combination of the butternut squash, the chicken sausage, and the wild mushrooms, they all go really well together. And this chicken, mild Italian chicken sausage from Smart Chicken, it's great. It's not too fatty. It has a lot of great flavor, and it really complements the butternut squash and the wild mushrooms. So we're going to start by roasting our butternut squash. A lot of people don't really know how to deal with butternut squash because they're hard to peel. They're kind of cumbersome. And this is just a really, really easy way for you to deal with it. So you just insert your knife in the center of the squash, and it should split pretty easily right down the middle. And you want to just take a spoon and scoop the seeds out. And these can go right into your compost bucket. And then you want to take a rim baking sheet and place the squash cut side down on the baking sheet. And just put a little bit of olive oil on the baking sheet so that it doesn't stick. And just rub it around so the surface gets nice and oily. And then you want to just put a little bit of water on the baking sheet with it. And that way it's going to kind of steam the squash at the same time and roast it. And when it comes, and so you put it in the oven, a hot oven, about 400 degrees for about 30 or 40 minutes. And it's going to come out, it's going to be nice and soft, just like this. It's going to be soft enough that you can scoop it right out of the skin. And then that way you don't have to really deal with trying to peel it. See what a beautiful color that turns out being, and how it's just easy to scoop. It comes right out of the skin. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to saute onions and celery. And I like, when I'm cooking for a crowd or entertaining or during the holidays, I like to cook like I'm in the restaurant. You could chop your onions and your celery a day ahead of time and just keep it in the refrigerator, and it's, you know, really a lot of this stuff could be done the day ahead of time. So we're going to start by using the Smart Chicken Sweet Italian Sausage. And the way you take this out of the casing is you just slit the casing right down the middle, and then it slides out very easily. And you don't really need to worry about what kind of form this is going to be in, because you're going to break it up later. One of the main ingredients of the stuffing is the bread, and I love using this challah bread. It's a nice, rich, eggy bread that has a lot of flavor to it. So it's going to absorb all these other wonderful flavors like we're using, like the chicken Italian sausage, the wild mushrooms, and the roasted butternut squash, and they're going to all absorb into this bread. It's going to be really great. So I have a wonderful assortment of wild mushrooms today. I have shiitake mushrooms, I have these wonderful bluefoot mushrooms, and then I have these wonderful lobster mushrooms. And see how they have that wonderful orange color like the lobster? So I don't really like to rinse my mushrooms because I think it takes some of the flavor away, but you definitely want to clean them. So just take a damp paper towel, or if you have a little brush, you can just brush, and you want to brush all this loose little pieces of dirt off of them. And then you want to just slice them very thinly. I like to kind of leave them, you know, so you can still recognize the shape of the mushroom. So now that we have all our ingredients ready, let's start cooking. So you want to get your pan nice and hot. I have my butter and my olive oil in here. I'm going to add the onions. And you want to hear that sizzling sound when the onions hit your pan. That lets you know that your pan's the right temperature. And then we've taken the sausage out of the casing. You just want to kind of break your sausage up into small pieces so that it gets nice and brown in the butter and the olive oil. And the reason I love using the Smart Chicken Sweet Italian Sausage is just the right amount of flavor, and it's really great. It doesn't have a lot of fat in it. It's nice and lean, but it's really, really flavorful, and it's really going to complement our stuffing. It's going to add great flavor with the wild mushrooms and the roasted butternut squash. So just cook this. Cooks about 8 or 10 minutes until the sausage is cooked through and has nice color on it. But it has nice color on it now. The onions have a little bit of color on them, and so we're going to add the celery, and then we're going to continue to cook it like another 3 or 4 minutes, just until the celery's tender. In the same skillet that you cook the onions and the sausage in, you're going to saute the mushrooms. So get your butter nice and hot, put your mushrooms in, and you want the heat on pretty high because these are going to cook really quickly. And you can see what wonderful color these mushrooms have. I love the using a variety of the mushrooms because it not only adds great flavor, but it adds really great color to the dish. You just want to get a little bit of color on these. They cook really quickly. You want your skillet nice and hot, and they saute in about 1 to 2 minutes. After sauteing the vegetables and the sausage, you want to mix everything together. And I have the challah bread here. I'm just going to add the sausage and the onions and the celery, and all of the flavor from these vegetables and everything else that we have here is going to be absorbed into this bread. And I love leaving the chicken sausage in nice chunks because you get that really wonderful bite of sausage in it. You want to add your mushrooms that have been lightly sauteed, your butternut squash that you've scooped out of the skin. And what the butternut squash too is going to do, it's going to kind of combine with the bread a little bit. And you can see what a beautiful color this is. A little bit of fresh marjoram. Just about 2 tablespoons. And a little bit of fresh sage and dried sage. About the same amount of fresh and just a little bit of dried sage. And then you take 4 eggs that have been lightly beaten. A little bit of sea salt. I like using sea salt because I tend to use less salt if I use sea salt. I love that it really has great flavor, so I find myself using less salt. And you can really taste it in the dish too. Some freshly ground black pepper and about a cup of chicken broth. You could use vegetable broth too if you wanted to. And then you just want to mix this all together until it's completely combined. The squash is going to combine with that bread a little. It's going to give it great flavor. And then all that wonderful flavor from the smart chicken sausage is going to be absorbed into that bread too. So that's going to give it really great flavor too. And you can see how colorful this dish is. So just make sure you have everything well combined. Make sure your herbs are mixed really well. And then you want to put it in a baking dish. And bake it in the oven at 350 for about an hour. If it starts to brown too quickly, you can cover it. But you want the top to be nice and golden brown. And I love it when the breadcrumbs get a little bit crunchy on top. And then we can just pour it right into the baking dish. See what gorgeous color that is, and you can see those nice big chunks of sausage in this. And the eggs are going to give it give the bread nice moisture and flavor as well. So this can go in the oven for about an hour at 350. The chicken sausage stuffing's been in the oven for about an hour now. We're going to just take it out. It's going to be nice and crispy on the top, that beautiful golden brown color, and it's going to be nice and moist in the center. I can't wait to taste it. The chicken sausage stuffing has just come out of the oven, and you can see how nice and brown it is on the top. It's got those nice crispy little pieces, and how nice and moist it is in the center. And the wonderful combination of all these flavors together is so great. The juices of the chicken sausage have been soaked up in the bread, and the nuttiness of the butternut squash. Not only does it have a great flavor, but you can just see what beautiful color it has. It'll look great on your table. Thanks so much for joining me today and cooking, and enjoy cooking always.